Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So I'm going to create a simple card today and I'm going to use the Garden Elements stamp set TE30. And we're just going to create something really simple. So I'm going to use the skeleton of the hydrangea floral. Take a little bird falling off because it's already been used so much. If you find that you've lost the stickiness on your stamps, just give them a wipe at the back and then the stickiness will be fine again. So I hope you've all had a good weekend. Might find an acrylic block in a minute. So I hope you've all had a good weekend. I needed to do some gardening and guess how much I did? None. But there you go. So I'm going to use Morning Mist VersaFine Clair. I have these in the shop and just until 11:30 tonight there's 10% off on the shop as well. It applies, the discount code applies automatically at the checkout. So I'm using my Morning Mist VersaFine Clair and we're just going to stamp our floral different ways each time we use the floral or the skeleton of the floral. You can put a little piece of copier paper underneath your area if you wish, if you just want to keep your non-stick craft sheet clean. Just look at the detail on that, just wonderful. And I'm using a piece of Pink Frog, can't you tell it's Monday? I'm using a piece of Pink Frog super smooth card, 4 inches by 6 inches. You can tell it's Monday because my brain's not working. Let's give that a really good pat. And then just decide where I want to add the next one. And move your floral around so that it looks different each time. And it does look really good stamped in that grey. It looks really lovely. So let's just, again, we'll ink that up. And because I don't know which part of the stamp I'm using, it's probably better if you sort of make sure that you ink the whole stamp, even if you're only going to use part of it. Like, for instance, I'm just going to use part of it here. Because you're never sure, because the way you turn the stamp, it's probably better to ink the whole thing. There we go. Just wipe. Then we can see that I'm only going to use part of the stamp, but depending which way I turn it round, it's better if I use the whole, ink the whole stamp. Now I can't pick the acrylic block up, so we want a little bit there. I'll ink that up. I do love the grey ink. There's something really appealing for me about the grey ink. And if you put that copier paper underneath, you won't have to keep wiping. So let's take, I'm sure we can just ink that bit now. So I'm just creating a background with the stamp, but isn't it effective? Just creating the background with the stamp. And again, just give that a little bit of time just to absorb onto the surface. Don't be in too much of a rush. And the reason I said to you about the copier paper is, can you see here, if you've got anything on your non-stick craft sheet, the oily ink pad sticks to that. And that's why I was mentioning about the copier sheet. There we go. And then we want a little bit more. So we're going to ink again with our grey. I'm just going to put a little bit there. Does look quite nice on that grey. So you could see if you put a grey background, it'll look quite nice. I'm not going to miss the little bit here as well. So that needs to be that one. There we go. So we've now got a beautiful background. It's really effective, isn't it? Just stamping the floral like that. Let's move this out of the way. And the grey doesn't stay quite as wet as the black, so it should be okay. I'm then going to take one of the snippet stencils. So I'm going to take the snippet stencil heart. And I'm going to take my black pen. It's up to you which way you have the heart, and it's up to you where you place the heart. I'm going to place it, you can move it up and down as much as you want, but it's entirely up to you where you place that heart. And then I'm going to draw around the heart just with my black pen. This is a micron pen, archival, water reactive. Sorry, and it's permanent. What am I on about? Water reactive. In other words, that one won't move when I do some colouring. So just so you can see what I have done. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to use my Zig Clean Colour Reel brush pens. You don't have to have these. You can use your oxide, you can use your Inktense pencils, you can use watercolour pencils, anything that you wish, maybe something that you haven't used for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the cobalt blue, which is 031. And I'm going to add that just to the edges here. And just to the edge here. And it does make your eyes go a little bit funny because you're colouring the actual floral itself. I'm then going to use light blue, which is 036, and I'm blending pen to pen. Now these react with water, so you can blend them a little bit with water as well. So if I want to soften, let's just grab my brush and a little bit of water. I can just blend those a little bit as well. But because the blue is very pale, it sort of blends out to nothing. So we'll just leave that, but you can blend pen to pen, and it depends how much of the blue you want to add. I'm going to leave a little white area and then just come in a little bit darker just at the edge again. Obviously when you use your water, that just lightens everything. So it's entirely up to you how you want to colour the area. I don't know why I keep putting the lids on. So then I'm just colouring the areas that are visible. So there we go. We then colour this one, and then this area here. And then we'll just blend with the lighter blue. So maybe use something you haven't used for a little while. So I'm leaving a little bit of a white area, and I'm going in, sort of adding a couple of layers of that blue. And they blend really, really nicely pen to pen. So I'm just leaving a little bit of a white area. And we will sort of highlight the heart as well. So at the moment, we're just going in with our, let's just mop up that water. We're just going in with our colours, just where we can see the florals at the moment, that's inside the heart. There we go. So, yeah. And round here. So yes, maybe there's something that you haven't used, that you haven't coloured with for a while. Maybe try that, just see if you can fall in love with them again. Something that you haven't used. So again, just applying that dark colour, and then just blending pen to pen, just so that you can, and then I can go in a little bit darker and just blend that out. Now if I want, I can still go in with a darker colour. Let's see if I can find a darker blue. What colour are you? Crikey, that is dark. Deep blue. So I'm going to touch a little bit with this deep blue, which is 035. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the deep blue and then just blend it out with the blue I used before. So just using that deep blue, and then I'm just going to blend that out, and then go in with the light blue, and then we'll just take a little bit of the water, and you can actually, now don't forget, you need to have card that will react with the moisture. It needs to sort of react with that moisture, and I can see that it's sort of softening the edges of my blue colour. So let's just take the dark. And with these, you can either do sort of a round circular motion, or you can do a flicking motion. It's entirely up to you. And then just here, just add a little bit of the dark, and then come in with the mid colour, and then with your light colour. Now, if you're going to blend pen to pen like I'm doing, you need to make sure that your pens are wet. It's much better if your pens are wet. You can't really do that when it's you know, the ink's dry. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that dark. And because I'm blending the pen to pen, I'm doing that whilst it's wet. So going in to the dark whilst that is wet. So drag out the light. Let's go here and just colour this in. And the colour, when you've added a little bit of moisture, is still reacting with that moisture. So let's pick up a little bit of water. There we go. Just to soften that a little bit of dark here. And a little bit of dark there. Let's put the lid on that and we'll go to the second colour. Just blend a little bit. You'll see when I add some grey how much they move. You'll see far more on the white card with the grey. There we go. So we're going to add a little bit of grey, which I should have got the grey colour out, but of course I didn't, just so that we can highlight the heart a little bit. So where are we? I haven't got the right pack of pens out. There are neutral shades and other shades, so I'll just get my grey out. Which one are you? I don't want a cool grey, I would like a warm grey. Warm grey 3, 909, that's perfect. So warm grey. So what I'm going to do now, let's make sure we've got some water. Let's make sure we've got no blue in there. And we're going to use the warm grey just around the heart. And you're just going to push that grey to the edge, just so that it moves out. And I'm just doing a small area and just dragging that out. Again, you can do this with your oxides. No problem at all. So I'm going to go around the heart shape. And if you touch the blue a little bit, it doesn't matter. Just adds to the whole background feel. So let's just go around here and add the shading. Now you need a card that allows you to move that colour. Let me just lift this up just so that you can see that the colour is moving. And we're going to add layers of that colour. So if you've got a watercolour card or something like that, a smooth watercolour card, that will work as well. Just go around the heart. There we go. So just add a little bit more here. What you will notice as well is because you've got that, oh, I've just dipped that pen in there, what a drip. What you will notice is as you go over the oxide, it just blends a little less, so it's a little bit darker. But on the white card, if I just go on this white, oh, I shouldn't have gone around there, but there you go. But if I just go around the white, you can see it blends out quite nicely. So what we'll do is, just to get a little bit more darkness around the heart, I can go in with my Inktense pencil. So just gives it. So now we can bring some of this grey out just into this area here, just so it's a little bit darker. And you can just see it a little bit more. Just blend out a little bit. The minute you touch that, it will blend out. Just on your card. And we can make that stand out a little bit more as well, just so that you can see that you've got the heart on there and it's completely flat. So we can just let that rest a little bit because we can add some Inktense pencil. So then what I'm going to do is take my TE11. We're going to take the background stamp and we're going to ink that with some ink. And what I'm going to do is, of course I haven't got that one out, I'm going to use my Hickory Smoke so that it's a little bit softer. It's not a permanent ink, so reacts with the moisture, which is sometimes really nice. So we're just going to add a little bit of text. Now it's going to be subtle initially because you've got the detail of that beautiful skeleton floral, but we're just adding a little bit of detail just to go around the outside, even though I'm going to go in with a little bit more of Inktense pencil. There we go. Just adding a little bit of text here and there around the heart. I can add a little bit more should I wish, but let's make that a little bit more 3D. So I'm going to go in with my Inktense pencil, which is Chinese ink. That's the colour, Chinese ink. And we're just going to come in now and we're going to go a little bit darker with that Chinese ink, just around the heart, just so that we emphasize that a little bit more, just so that it's nice and deep. And that will pop out from the page. Just because that's a little bit darker. Just blend that out so it's a little bit darker. And it just sort of pops out from that page and looks a little bit more dimensional. Okay, so let's just, I've now got no water on there. That's better. You don't need much water, just to react the Inktense pencil, just so that that's a little bit darker. There we go. So it's called Chinese ink. That's it. Just clean that grey up. And you can see now it's a lot darker and it looks sort of 3D, especially when you've got the comparison of the grey to the white in this area here. So I'm just going to grab my, now really you should let everything dry and then you can come in with sort of a few little touches of white here and there, just to add to your skeleton. You can even just pick out some of the little touches of the skeleton sort of lines. And now that the moisture has been lying on there a little bit, what you can see is it's all softened. The darker blue and everything has really softened, which is just lovely. And it's just a lovely, simple idea. Right, where did I have, where's my stamp? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the little wren. Now you can leave it like that and have no cutting out whatsoever. So you can just have it as a one layer card. I'm going to take my black ink and take the little wren. You can even just stamp, let's see if it works, a little bit of the skeleton floral. Now it has removed some ink because, let's lift it, you can see it has removed some ink, but I don't know whether there's an impression on there. Yes, how wonderful. Look at that. It's now got the impression of the skeleton leaf on my little wren, which gives it the same texture that the floral has got. Love it. You may even get a second, you get a second generation look. Wonderful. Truly wonderful. Now imagine that Imagine that with the big wren on its own. Just doing that. Just gorgeous. So let's cut out our little wren that now coordinates rather nicely with our skeleton floral, because it's got the same sort of pattern on our little wren, and that is called the kissing technique. Now, I always think it's a lot easier to cut the little feet out if you've definitely got some of the bird in the card. It makes it far easier. The more of the bird that you've got in the card, it is much simplified. Let's just... Then I'm going to go up. That's what I love about these scissors. They're so fine that they work really nicely to cut small areas out. There we go. So I've got my little wren, and then I can add my little wren just with a little love that it's got some of that texture. Now, I don't know whether the skeleton one will show up, but let's have a look. May not show up enough to just place him onto the card, but we shall see. If it was against sort of a really dark background, it may show up a little bit more, but I've got to cut him out just so that I can show you that even the second generation print is just gorgeous as well. And that's why I love stamps so much. You've got that variety that you can apply with your stamps over and over again. But let me just, can't pick them up. Let's cut his little foot out a little bit better, but so that you can see you've got the first generation and the second generation. Just wonderful. Now, I don't know whether my first and second generation, no, he gets a little bit lost, so we're just going to add our little wren here. Now, it's up to you. You don't have to cut out that little bit, shouldn't you wish to cut that out. But apart from sort of my bird and my sentiment, you could keep that as one layer. I'm not even going to add any 3D element. Just a little bit of adhesive just in the centre there, like so. And then we'll grab some wording. So what wording do I fancy? Nobody knows. Let's have a look at some of the stamps. Where's the other one that I've got? So birthday wishes on the TE26. So we'll take TE26 and add those birthday wishes because the sentiment's nice and fine. I can use the stamp set that's got the bird on. The stamp set, what's this called? An acrylic block. Sometimes if you've got a really tiny stamp on your acrylic block and you get a bit of a wobble, if you put another stamp at the top, it stops that. It stops the wobble because it's balanced at the top. So then we'll take our scissors and cut the birthday wishes out. Go. So you see, I'm cutting this quite fine because I don't want anything too thick on there. So then I can add the birthday wishes so that my little bird sits on the birthday wishes. Then I'll add a little bit of Inktense pencil just underneath. Just to give that a little bit of shading. There we go. And take the Inktense and we'll just add this across here. And then we'll, grab a little bit of water and then just blend that out. And then we want to add some of our splatters. How can you have so much stuff out? I've got stuff everywhere. So just add a few of those splatters, just sort of around that dark area. You can also use a piece of card just to protect your sentiment if you need to. There we go. And then I'm going to add that to a black mat, which when you add it to the black mat, it just pops really nicely. So we'll just add that to our black mat. Now you can leave everything to dry completely because obviously it's wet around that heart. Just obviously make sure that you don't touch the Posca pen. It's usually a good sign. And then make sure that you catch some of the adhesive that's towards the centre of the card. Just make sure you catch some of that adhesive just in the centre of that card. Although if you don't, it looks quite puffy, like quite padded. So let's grab a card blank. So I have a 5 by 7 inch card blank. Let's make sure it's going the right way. And just add you can hear that I'm coming towards the end of my adhesive. Add that to the white card blank. There we go. You could quite easily have that for a Valentine's card, an anniversary card, quite easily. If I bring in the card, you can see apart from the bird and the sentiment, it is completely flat, just completely flat. But in real life, it has like a domed appearance. So I hope you've enjoyed that and you'll give that a go. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.